Bring your own guitar, old buddy. Bring your old guitar. We'll talk and drink and laugh and sing, but bring your own guitar.
Welcome to the pilot episode of Bring Your Own Guitar. Yes, Jason Whitlock, Jeffrey Steele, amazing Hall of Fame singer-songwriter, my friend. We'll put Jeffrey on camera here in a second, but I just want to give you a tiny bit of background on how we got here. This show is called Bring Your Own Guitar. It's a story really about me falling in love with Nashville and falling in love with country music. You guys, 2.5 years ago, I started talking about the song Am I the Only One by Aaron Lewis. And then Tiffany, my assistant, said, hey, you know who wrote the song? And Aaron's great and the song's great, but Jeffrey Steele wrote the song. And then last year, Jeffrey comes and performs, or earlier this year, at Roll Call 2.0. And I'm like, holy cow, this dude's amazing. We've become friends. Jeffrey's a big time believer. He's one of us. He's part of the Fearless movement, even though he didn't even know anything about the Fearless movement. And Jeffrey and this show is going to be a part of my educational process about country music, about songwriting. You guys know I believe in the power of music, and the people doing the most powerful songs are country music artists like Jeffrey and Aaron Lewis, and some guys that will be a guest on this first pilot episode, some young kids from out of Tennessee, the western half of Tennessee. Just 22, 19, 18-year-old kids that made this amazing song. Their band is called Tennessee Backwater. But without further ado, this show is Jason and Jeffrey, BYOG. My partner in this is Jeffrey Steele. Let's welcome him back to the show. This guy's like a brother to me. Love him to death. Jeffrey, thank you so much.
Great to be back. Thank you for having me. And my same love for country music in Nashville. When I came out from Los Angeles 30 years ago, for the first time came to Nashville, I fell in love with country music, and my whole life changed, and I moved my whole family back here and started my career all those years ago. So it's just amazing to be sitting with you here.
I'm just telling you, Jeff, I had avoided country music. Years ago, I was dating a woman that took me to a Kenny Chesney concert. Yeah. And I can remember being an idiot. I was scared. Uh-huh. And I was like, man, I'm going to get beat up. And I'm a big old dude. Much younger. This had to be 25 years ago. And I'm much younger. I'm going to get beat up. And then she's like, are you kidding me? These people, because this is in Kansas City. I was already popular in Kansas. She goes, people are going to love you, Jason. Go to the Kenny Chesney concert. People did love me. But that's been my only experience really with country music until I came here. And then you have helped me with the understanding of like, why is all the great music coming from this genre? It's the only music really saying anything. Guys like yourself are helping artists really find their voice, and I really appreciate that. It's just grown my love for this music even more.
Yeah, you start to, the community out here, first of all, but you start to see the scene out here of, you know who the artists are that you love, and you buy the records and you go to the concerts, but you don't see the behind the scenes of all of these singers, songwriters, whatever part of the business they're in, that kind of, they didn't go after maybe the big dream of being on stage, but their creativity is just off the hook. And you get about 1,000 of those people together in a town, and you're gonna have some crazy stuff happening, and you're gonna see, you're just gonna see some of the best songs, the best music, and everybody comes here. Everybody from around the world now. If you look at the pop charts, some of the biggest acts in the music business are doing their stuff here, or they're having hits in country radio now. So it's just a mecca for, I think, a magnet for all of these maybe talents that didn't know where to go. Like for me, I was one of these guys who grew up a rock and roller, ended up in Bakersfield, California, listening to country music for the first time. And when I came back here, I still had this, I had all this music inside me. I didn't know how to get it out. I went to the record companies. They didn't know how to promote it because it wasn't what was currently the trend on the radio.
Yep.
So they couldn't figure me out. And there's lots of people like me in this town. And so we kind of got pushed into these different boxes, but eventually found people in a creative community that allowed us to be who we were and create the music we created, which kind of changed country music and turned it into something everybody could love.
So, Jeff, I've been here for 4 years.
Yeah.
And you said one thing that's untrue.
Well,
There are not a lot of people like you.
well, I don't know.
And
I don't know.
I'll say 2 weeks ago I wouldn't have said that. I would have, because you're an awesome songwriter. Awesome songwriter.
Thanks, sir.
There's a lot of songwriters here, not on your level. But 2 weeks ago, when I go to Third and Lindley and see you with your band and do like the full Jeffrey Steele experience,
Yeah.
that's when I was like, no, there's not a lot of people like Jeffrey Steele.
Standing up there for 3.5 hours and
3.5 hours.
telling stories and singing songs.
And what are you, like 38 now?
No.
38 years old to do that?
My friends call me the world's oldest teenager.
Yeah.
Kind of works,
yeah.
right?
And so it's like one of the weird things, there's two weird things about Jeffrey bikes about 30 miles every morning. And then he eats about 10,000 calories every night. I've made the mistake of taking Jeffrey to dinner several times, and moving forward, we're going to be going to Chipotle.
Oh, good.
Because I can't afford to take Jeffrey out. He eats and Jeffrey weighed 160 pounds?
Well, I'm getting closer to 175, I think.
Okay, yeah. And he's close to 6 foot. Guy goes out to dinner with me at Hall's, and he wants a full order of lamb as an appetizer.
Is that weird? Is that weird?
The appetizer.
That's not weird, is it?
Then he wants the tomahawk steak.
Tomahawk steak, a rack of lamb,
I'm like, holy, and I'm just sitting over
and
here
some
doing the
shrimp
math.
appetizers.
Like, oh my, everything the guy orders is $100, and he eats it all. I don't like, if you're gonna eat it, order it. If it's gonna be taken home to the dog and the wife and the kids, you're just getting over it. But he eats it all.
Yeah, we were out with somebody. Remember, they were getting a to-go box. I go, what are you doing with that? Send that back. I'll eat it.
I almost called his name, but he's a closeted conservative, and it would destroy him. And again, that's what makes Jeffrey different. Man, you're so out of the closet with your values, and I love that. And that's another part of this show, in terms of, because we're going to talk about a lot of things, not just music, but the culture. And Jeff's had me on Monday Night in America at the local, where, Jeff does music, has a little conversation, brings on people to talk about what's going on in the world. Jeff is bold with his opinions and his positions, no different than we are here at Fearless. But even before we go there, I got to go back to tell you about seeing Jeffrey do Jeffrey. It's 3.5 hour show. 1 hour, he's Stevie Wonder. Hour 2, he's David Lee Roth. Then he may even do 15 minutes of Elton John, and then he may do some Michael Jackson. And again, not in terms of song, but just in terms of like, my God, look at this guy. What a performer. What a command of the audience. When you drop down, and I don't even know what it's called, that little piano or
It's just
whatever.
a digital piano, just like a regular piano.
I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah.
I was like, this dude Stevie Wonder, what's going on here?
That was actually my first instrument, which I learned to play by ear. We could only afford lessons for one of the kids, and my brother got the piano lessons. So I used to, and my mom hated the piano. She kept the piano in the garage because she didn't want to hear it. She didn't want to hear the racket all day. So my brother would get the lessons, and he would go out in the garage with the teacher, and I would spy through the door, and I would watch where he'd put his hands on the keys, and I'd memorize where he put his hands. And then after he left, I'd go out there and start. I didn't know what I was doing, but I was figuring out how to do chords, and that's how I taught myself to play, and eventually ended up playing guitar.
Okay, so, and I'm sure you know this, but for me, a novice, someone that doesn't, when you drop down to play that piano, your voice changed, your style of delivery changed. That's what, for an idiot like me, I'm like, oh, he's a country music guy. He can only sing like a country music guy.
Yeah.
And then I'm looking like, no, is his skin getting black? He's bringing all this soul, and it's like now we're over in Memphis. We're sitting in Nashville, and now Jeffrey's doing a Memphis performance That's what, like, and then next thing you know, you took a harmonica out and played your guitar with the harmonica, and then you played the harmonica.
Played a little slide guitar on it, and I mean, my career coming up, you know, I'm an older guy now in the music business, and I've had so much experience in Los Angeles, Memphis, all musical cities, Atlanta, everywhere there's been a music scene, and I kind of just attach myself to those things and learn, you know, and I was really quick at learning stuff and picking up stuff by ear, and so one of the problems with me, I always tell, because people always say, hey, how come you're not the guy that's out there on this big stage singing those songs? A guy like me, there were so many influences and so many different things, like you say, Stevie Wonder, Eric Clapton, from the 70s, the Beatles even back to the 60s, and then U2 and Coldplay, Forward, Nirvana, and then Merle Haggard, Willie Nelson. I had all these influences, and I had a God gift to kind of manipulate my voice a little bit to adapt to certain things. So when I lived in Los Angeles, I would get called for a lot of session work. People wanted certain voices on certain things, and that's kind of how my career got started. So when I came in Nashville, they couldn't get it into a box. And so I always tell people, if I had not have been, and I'm not gonna say rejected, but you know what I mean, like this, people couldn't figure it out. I had to figure it out myself. I had to figure it out through God. I had to figure out, what is this gift that you gave me? What am I supposed to do with it? And basically, I was just churning everything for years, and I wouldn't have got to that place on the stage the other night performing the way I do if I hadn't taken the direction I'd gone. I truly believe that if I was just a guy that got a record deal, became famous, was singing other people's songs, I would have been very one-dimensional. I think, and it speaks to a lot of the industry and all that. I think people need to be able to grow and develop and become who they really are as musical talents, or any kind of talent.
It's not a curse, it's a blessing. But
it's a little of both. No, it's a blessing. It's obviously a blessing.
In the way they've constructed this industry now, and all the entertainment industry, some of you can see Tim Floyd sitting behind me over my shoulder, former Chicago Bulls coach, good friend of mine. But Tim and I, before we came out here, we were talking about, you can have too much talent. That some people having too much talent actually limits their success level because they're too blessed. And that is because I left that show on that Friday night like, how is this guy not the biggest star in country music, just music in general? How is this possible? He's got this much talent. And I'm not gonna, because I don't want to offend, but I just started rattling off people in my mind that are bigger stars than you, and I'm like, they can't do what I just saw. No way. For 3.5 hours, and some of these guys are half your age or a third of your age, and just to have that kind of command, but they have accepted being in a box and in a specific lane where you wanted to be, it feels like to me, just more true to yourself.
True to myself, independent. I have an independent spirit. My dad had one, and I have one, and I couldn't keep that in a box. Almost like, you know what I mean? Like if I went into the box, I knew that I was going to be knocking myself out of the box because I wasn't going to be able to adhere to whatever was required of me. Like there was one record deal I got where one of the record company people told me that if you just put on a cowboy hat, like this is in the 90s, like everybody's wearing a cowboy hat now, wear a cowboy hat. I said, man, I grew up in Southern California. It's not me to wear a cowboy hat. I wear a ball cap, you know, but I started to see that it was all about getting it in a can and getting it in a box. And I just wanted to try to be the most purest God version of myself I could be. And if that was too much, or if it was over the top, like one guy, songwriter buddy of mine, tells me that he's not bragging. He just shows off for God all the time. I just like to I want people to feel what I'm feeling, the joy that I feel. You know, we've talked about this before, but you know, I've lost my son. I've been through a lot of tragedy in my life, like a lot of people have, and that's another thing. My show, you probably saw after the show. There's a crowd of people that love to just come up and just hang out and talk about what they've been through. because they've been through something too, and my music has healed them in some way, and they are compelled to want to come up and say thank you. And it's thanks to God, but He taught me to be humble and if it's an excess and get whatever it is, give it back, give it to other people, teach them how to, especially if they're in the same business as you, show them how you do what you do if you can do that, and try to show them your way of doing things if it makes sense to them. But try to make something out of those, whatever those things are that, and I've never really looked at them like I'm not that guy. That's never mattered to me. I wanted the music to, long after I'm gone, I want the music to speak. I want people to still be singing the songs. That's what matters to me. Not if, I'm a poster on somebody's ceiling.
There's a couple of different, and I hope I don't forget this second part.
For lack of a better way to put it.
There is something very biblical and spiritual about what you do in the music industry in terms of you're an incredible performer, but you're known for writing for other people. You're a servant musician or a servant artist. And what hurts the most? Hey, I'm gonna get at the Rascal Flatts, and you guys get all the fame and fortune. Obviously, you benefit as well, but you're letting Aaron Lewis. That's got to probably be his most powerful, popular song. You help push him out of the comfort level, out of the box, so he would be that kind of bold. And that's kind of what we want to do with this show.
Which I love.
A safe space for people. Come be yourself.
Yeah.
And even if you want to play it safe, we'll let you play it safe. Me and Jeff are dangerous enough. But it is kind of wild. People in this industry are so creative. And it's in their nature. If you go look at them when they're in junior high and high school, they're the kids that don't want to be in any kind of box.
Yeah.
They want to be creative. They want to explore everything.
Yeah.
And then the industry comes in and says, hey, you got to hop in this box.
This is what everybody's doing. You need to do this.
Yes. And make sure, bury your real thoughts, because there's no way you can have the financial success that you've had, that I've had, that others have had, without going, man, I love this country. Man.
Yeah, I can really speak to that.
I mean, because I would imagine you're like me. I'm talking about I came from nothing.
Yeah.
And what I've been able to experience in this country and been able to do for my family, and now I got to pretend like I don't love this country.
Yeah.
I look at these people that won't speak up for the country that's been that good to them. We got to get them out of that.
We got to get them out of that. And everybody that, it's the music business, so everybody that comes into it, for the most part, is coming in for fame and fortune. It's a rare few that are coming in to speak something or say something or change something or move something. It's it's in any business. It's a handful of people that can do that or that try to do that. So when I develop these young songwriters now, and that's the first thing I tell them. I said, I've had so much good drunken advice back in the day, like Chris Christopherson, who just recently passed away, in a back alley. He told
you told that story on stage.
He told me to never do it for the money.
Yeah.
And he was drunk, and he was getting into a limo with two girls in a back alley with a bottle of whiskey.
Do it for them, but not for the money.
Don't do it for the money. And he's getting into a limousine. And so 30 years later, I was the Songwriter of the Year, and it's like winning the Super Bowl, and you go up there and you get your trophy, and he was being inducted as an icon in the music business. They always award like a veteran, And so I saw him all those years later, and I said, Chris, it's Jeffrey Steele. I met you, in the back alley of the Palomino Club in North Hollywood, California, back in 1980, whatever it was. And he just started belly laughing and said, I don't remember any of that. And I said, well, you told me, I asked you for some advice, and you told me to never do it for the money. And he belly laughed so loud, like the whole room turned around and was looking at us. And then he got really serious, and he looked at me, and he said, did you do it for the money? I said, no, sir, I didn't. And he started belly laughing again. But he said, but what he said in that moment too, all those years later, was, you find that when you're doing what you love to do, the money will stick to you. It'll be Velcroed to you. if you go chasing it, you might get it. But if you're trying to leave a mark or leave an impression or make something that's gonna maybe change move the needle a little bit, you have to be yourself. You can't be a songwriter. You just have to be that knucklehead that you really are when you're in that room and really write your life. And he said the money will stick to you like Velcro. I remember him saying that to me, and I laughed at him, and I said, you were right, and you were right about all of it. He goes, yeah, but I was pretty messed up back then. He was an amazing guy, and he for all of us that back to the original, you coming to Nashville. When I first came to Nashville, it was my dad. As I was playing in like these Led Zeppelin cover bands, and I had on a spandex pants and a kimono and a top hat, and I was singing in all these bars on the Sunset Strip. And my dad kept telling me to listen to country music, and I kept telling him country music sucks. I was a teenage kid, and then he gave me his Chris Christopherson song, "Why Me, Lord," was a song that Chris wrote. It was one of the first Chris Christopherson songs I heard, and it just knocked me out. The simplicity of it, the truth in it, of the lyric. And that's the thing about country music, the truth in the lyric. So that's what kind of moved my needle to come back here all those years ago and chase my dream. But there's so much to speak about in terms of the narrative right now, too, and what's going on in the world and being yourself and not giving into what everybody in the industry is saying. You can't sing about that, or you shouldn't sing about that, or we're not going to put that out because it's hitting a nerve that we don't want to hit. It's a handful. It's not even a handful of people that will step up and sing those songs. And it's not that you have to sing them, but I just think if you're a creative guy and you're a songwriter, you have to know what's going on socially and write about it. Just like a painter would paint something, or a comedian would talk about whatever's going on in the world at the moment.
I can't accept blessings without giving back, and showing some gratitude for those blessings. And so there was a movie 2 or 3 years ago, I think it was on Netflix. It was about Muhammad Ali, Malcolm X, Jim Brown, and someone else that I can't think of. They were all in Miami for a Muhammad Ali fight. And it was depicting, it was somewhat fictional, but somewhat real. And it was saying like Malcolm X was telling those guys in the 1960s, like, hey, you got to do something for the cause.
Yeah.
That you got to leave your mark. We're at this critical time in history, and you got to do something for the cause. And he was speaking, putting pressure on entertainers and athletes and others. And that's where I think I am right now as it relates to defending America, the Constitution, our founding principles. And for me and for you, it's really about, I'm defending God and a biblical worldview. Yeah. And I don't think it's too much to ask for these entertainers, and particularly these country music artists that sell their authenticity and want their
Exactly.
If Jason Aldean had lost money on Try This in a Small Town, then I'd be like, okay, be scared. He lost money on that. That's really hurt. He made money. It made him more popular.
He lost a few people employee-wise that didn't believe in what he believed in and left him after 25 years.
Thing. Yeah, that's a good thing.
But that's good. That's a good thing.
Yeah. But Aaron Lewis, am I the only one?
Yeah.
Jeffrey Steele, y'all made money with that and increased your popularity. And that's a way of giving back, because music is that important. It writes on your heart. It will give you the encouragement you need to stand up and not let boys invade girls' sports. Yeah. Not go for all, because you have a biblical worldview and they want to call me an Uncle Tom, they want to call you a racist. If we have the right music in our heart, we'll stand up and say, you know what, I'll take those arrows. And just at the end of the day, it's a good business move. People
I think so too.
Begging for authentic music.
Yeah, and I think, you get, like, a lot of kids will come in, all the young kids will come over to my studio and write. They'll always send them over to me first, like, go over to see Steele and go knock out a couple of songs with him. He'll give you he'll crack the whip on you and all that. But the first thing they start talking about, if they're hot, they usually just talk about what they're trying to do next. If they're not hot yet or they haven't broken yet, they're all griping about the system. You know, if they don't have enough views, enough follows on the social media, the record companies aren't standing behind their music. And that's a whole new realm of the narrative that they're using. So if a kid comes in with it doesn't even have to be a patriotic song, but you know, like something that has strong beliefs in it, it's going to get shot down. It's going to get shot down immediately or pushed to the side. And I mean, the way I look at it, Jason, is I'm in the free speech business. I mean, songwriters have to tell the truth. I mean, we're going to write fictional stories about things, you know, and love and all that and broken hearts. But there's got to be somebody, you know, Charlie Daniels did it, you know, Bob Dylan did it. You know what I mean? Like through the decades, Bruce Springsteen did it, you know.
That's a past tense.
Yeah, past tense.
Some of us, you know.
Yeah.
Do I have to remind you of what you wrote and am I the only one? Yeah.
Who quit singing along?
Yeah, to
every time they hear a Springsteen song.
Yeah.
Yeah, that pissed me off. That really pissed me off because, well, that's a deep one for me.
I'm gonna say that.
That's a deep gouge for me.
I'm gonna save that one because we got these young guys that we're gonna bring on, Tennessee Backwater, and to go along, piggyback off what you're talking about for these young people. Who had heard of Oliver Anthony before he laid it out there?
Nobody. And why did people love it? And, you know, songwriters in Nashville, like all the pros, right? They all kind of went, oh, technically it's not really a perfectly written, it's not like a well-written song as songs go. You know, the rhymes aren't, you know, if you're really like one of those people that's really stickler about, you know, tradition and all that, it didn't make sense that, why did people love it so much? He wasn't like an Elvis-looking guy. He was just standing there in a field with it, like
you guys, I look better than actually.
and he hit the whole nerve. He hit not just a conservative lifestyle nerve. He hit the nerve of all people, and that's what music is supposed to do. It's supposed to hit the nerve of all people, not just a party here or a party there or a statement here. It's about what we're all going through and what we're all feeling. And if we don't speak to it, I mean, I feel like we're one of the last bastions. But besides comedy that really puts it out there and speaks truth to it.
Great music is biblical.
Absolutely.
And I say that
Absolutely.
because I once heard Vodi Bakum speak and say, if you're preaching a sermon that isn't appropriate, can't be understood, wouldn't have an impact in every zip code on the planet, you're not speaking God's truth.
Yeah.
God's word speaks to people in Africa,
Same thing.
Everywhere.
Same.
And that's what you're talking about with Oliver Anthony, because that wasn't a right wing or left wing song. That was for everybody. And I guarantee if they translated it into Arabic somewhere, it would hit with those people as well.
Yeah.
That's what great music is. But again, they're shoving everybody into a box rather than letting people explore and say what they really think, what's true to them. But we're going to lighten it up because I want to get these young kids out here.
One quick anecdote. I don't know if I told you this last time we talked, but I took a trip to Turkmenistan to play for the embassy and the Marines and the people of Turkmenistan with Kash Patel last year. He brought me over there and had this big thing set up. And so when I went out to do my show and tell my stories, that obviously nobody could understand what I was saying. So they had to have an interpreter. So I started talking about the song I wrote called My Town, which was I wrote after 9/11, which became a big hit for a group called Montgomery Gentry. And I told the story about 9/11 and freedom and where we're at now. And I told this long, elaborate story. I had to wait like 30 seconds for the girl to interpret it all to the audience. And when I sang the song that nobody knew the words to, they all sang the chorus along with me. Because they got the story. They got the story because it was a country that wasn't free. It was under dictatorship. And they appreciated the story. And that really left an impact on me when I came back to America. a couple weeks later, I was, and then, you're seeing everything that's going on here, and you're like, wow, I was just over there, and you just don't know how lucky you are to be here and have the life you have here. No matter how bad it is, how lucky you are to have whatever life you have here. It's better than.
I'm gonna tell a story. So 10 days ago, 2 weeks ago, me, Jeffrey, Butter, friend of ours, Matt, we're out to dinner, and Butter's helping me do this whole BYOG deal. He's kind of in charge. And so I told Butter a week before this dinner, I think I got the name of the show, BYOG, and Butter was like, oh man, that's got that vibe. Butter's always talking about vibe or whatever. Yeah, I like that, blah, blah, blah. So when we're out to dinner, I don't know if you caught this, Butter, but I said to Jeffrey, like, hey man, I think we're gonna call the show BYOG, Bring Your Own Guitar. And Jeffrey, I don't know if you know this, but you kind of had a blank look and gave me nothing and went back to talking back to Max Swanson. And I'm sitting there like,
a lot.
I'm sitting there like, did this dude just tell me he didn't like the name of this show? Is that what he just communicated to me? That does. And so he said nothing. And so I didn't push it that night. I just kind of let it go. And so last night, me, Butter, and Jeffrey on a call at 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, talking about this and these young kids that are coming and what we're gonna do. And Butter goes, are there bubbles? Is someone in a bathtub, in a hot tub? What's going on?
Oh, God.
It ain't me. This house I bought is getting renovated. I'm stuck in this little one-bedroom apartment in this sweaty chair that I sit in every day. And Jeffrey, yeah, it's me. I'm in the hot tub. We're on the phone. Butter's at home. I'm in my little apartment, miserable. Jeffrey's in the backyard in the hot tub. And he goes, yeah. And I'm writing the theme song to Bring Your Own Guitar. He's talking to us. He's sitting in his hot tub. It's 10 at night. He just came home, just got off a plane, and he's writing a song. And then he comes. So this is just last night.
Yeah.
And he comes in here today. It's like, Jason, what do you think of this? And I'm like, oh, he liked my name. I had no idea. I was like, well, that landed like
I have a tendency, anytime somebody says something that's like a title, or a thought, I just start spinning a web. I just start spinning a web and going, oh, what is that? What is that? What is that? I'll be like, I've told you the story, like I'm standing in a coffee shop overhearing some people talking, having a conversation, and I'm getting ready to order my coffee, and I still got my ear back here listening to the conversation because the guy just said something that I know is a hit song. It was an amazing thing, That's kind of how I don't know if that's from God or that's just me, like just wanting it so bad, wanting to write about it stuff so bad that I just find it everywhere I can. I just keep my brain open. So when you said it that night at dinner, I was spinning. I was like, oh.
I thought it like, that was thumbs down. Can we get a little taste?
You want to hear the chorus?
Yeah, just the chorus. I really actually want to hear people find Jesus in the damnedest ways or play.
Oh, okay.
I really want to hear it. I just give them a little taste of, you know what? A little taste of BYOG, then people find Jesus, and then we'll bring these kids out here. And we'll let you bless them. Yeah,
that's gonna be fun.
Great.
They are great.
Yeah.
So it's not complete yet, but we were talking more about it. I just thought, if you're going to bring your own guitar, it's kind of a sing-along thing, right? So will you sing it with me?
Bring your own guitar, old buddy. Bring your old guitar. We'll talk and drink and laugh and sing, but bring your own guitar.
Not bad.
There's more, but that's all I could possibly remember right now.
Yeah. Let's hear the good stuff.
Okay. So this was kind of I played this at roll call, right? This, it's kind of my testimony. 16 years ago, I got sober, and I was going
Just as I take a drink, you talk about
No, it's all good.
bad timing.
It's all good. I still drink. It just doesn't have any alcohol in it.
Oh.
But I was at my year anniversary going to get my chip for being sober for a year, and I had a insanely loud screaming match with God himself. And I told him to prove to me that he was with me at that moment, or I was going to go out and just go off the rails. Because I had a lot of stuff that was going on in my life. I'd lost my son. My house was flooded in the Nashville flood. A lot of other things going on. My life was in a transitional period for sure. And so I was doubting, even though he had gotten me into those meetings to get me sober. And I said, if you don't show up now, I'm out. And you were talking about earlier, I'm really into cycling. It's kind of how I stay fit and do my thing, and it's just a Zen thing for me. And so there's nothing I don't know about cycles, building cycles, riding them, talking about them. I can tell you anything about any model. So I told God to make it as obvious as he could for me, or I was out. And then I completely forgot about what I was praying about. That's most people do. You shout up this really angry prayer, and then you forget what you said, and you go back to your life, and you do what you do. And I lit up a cigar, and I was sitting there.
I got those too.
We got those. I lit up a cigar, and I completely forgot what I was praying about, and there was a knock on my window. And I turned around, and it was a young kid on a bicycle that was decorated with lights and flags and reflectors, shiny, sparkly red paint. It was the most amazing thing I'd ever seen, like decorated. And I looked at him, and I just, guy want money from me or something. So I rolled down my window, and I told him I didn't have any money. And he goes, no, I'm just making sure you're okay. I said, yeah, I'm okay. And I rolled my window back up, and I'm sitting there, and it was a wide open place down in Florida where I was, where you could just see for about a mile in any direction. And he knocked again, and I looked, and I'm like, what's the deal? You know, I said, I told you I'm okay. He goes, are you sure you're okay? Do you need someone to talk to? I said, no, I'm fine. I'm fine. Leave me alone. You know, I completely forgot about my prayer. Knocked again a third time, and I basically scared him off. And then I turned back and looked, and he was gone. Like there was nowhere he could have gotten in a minute's time where I couldn't see him riding away on this crazy bicycle with lights all over it, and he was gone. And then I realized what I'd prayed about, to make it obvious, something that I would know, which was a bicycle, because that's kind of what I do every single day of my life for the last 60-some years, right, or whatever. And I missed the sign, you know, and that's where it just, I thanked God, and I said, I'm so sorry I missed that. And I went to my meeting, and I got my chip, and I never looked back from that day. And so this was a song that I wrote about it. It's a long setup, wasn't it?
Not long enough.
Clean and serene on an orange keychain in the back of her pocket at the New Faith Church parking lot. Right dented fender on a blue Chevrolet. Jesus meets people in the damnedest place. A wall full of strangers in a Sunday school room, heads down talking, lukewarm coffee in a styrofoam cup. 90 meetings in 90 days. Yeah, people meet Jesus in the damnedest ways. In an x-ray room on a bumpy jet plane, in a hurricane's eye on a newborn's face, on a shiny red bike, a parachute dive on the bathroom floor with a razor blade. People meet Jesus in the damnedest ways. I finally started talking about my 10th time back. Had to lose my son to finally get saved. Yeah, church in a bottle was a hell of a place. People meet Jesus in the damnedest way. In a red sunrise, in a cop car cup, in a first heartbreak, in a beggar's cup, in a kid's teardrop on a mountaintop. I never cease to be amazed. People meet Jesus in the damnedest ways. And God knows I've had my 6 ways from Sunday. Jesus finds people in the damnedest place. Jesus meets people in the damnedest ways. Yeah, Jesus finds people in the damnedest place. But people need Jesus in the damnedest ways.
Thank you.
Do I need any other explanation why I've fallen in love with country music? Seriously. Hey, you hear anybody rapping like that, singing like that? You can only get that in country. That's why I'm so blessed to be here in Nashville, Tennessee, and become friends with people like Jeffrey Steele and John Rich and all. Man, that is awesome.
And likewise, you know, speaking to faith and to prayer, when I was going through the worst of my worst, and I realized that I had to make my worst, the best for other people. The main thing I prayed for was I asked God to put me in front of people that could just keep helping to change my path, because it was a crazy path, you know, and I'm sitting here now, and that's pretty cool.
It's awesome.
It's pretty cool. It's in His time. I mean, that was some years ago when all that happened for me. So it's in His time. But just like the music business career and all that stuff, you just stay on the road. You stay on the road, man. You stay on the road and meet people like you. So I'm
When you get to our age, Jeffrey, the thing that gives me the most joy is these young kids that are about to come out here.
Yeah.
That we can pass on wisdom to.
Yeah.
That's, if you're not, I talk about it all the time on my show. That is our duty, to pass on our wisdom to these young people, push them forward. You know, obviously we can still do some things, but it's these young people we got to invest in and encourage. And you know, the kids we're about to bring out, the group from Tennessee Backwater, they need your wisdom. They've already been through some things as young people. They need your wisdom, your advice on how to get to the next level and how to handle success. A lot of people can handle the struggle. We all know to drop to our knees and how to deal with struggle. Sometimes it's dealing with success. And I think these guys, In God We Trust, this song that they've sent me, the Jason Tucker, like, oh man,
Yeah, it's good.
It hits me the way Am I the Only One hits me. And it's like these guys, these young guys, they got a pair. They want to share their own life and what God has done for them and what music can do. And so we're going to bring these kids out here from Tennessee Backwater, hear from them a little bit, let them play a couple of songs, let them engage with Jeffrey. Man, I love this and the way it's going. We're off to a good start. I think this is going to work.
It's so fun, man.
I think
this is so fun.
Their parents are here. They got some family here. Stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with Tennessee Backwater next. Welcome to Extra Fearless with Jason Whitlock. I am Jason Whitlock, your host. Oh my God, Lyndon Johnson, his thoughts are so disgusting. I can't believe you would engage with him. The celebration for being a slut have never been greater. Why do you choose Taylor Swift, and why do you pick up a role as, let me help my woman undress on stage in front of an audience?
When I look at people like Sexy Red or Cardi B that we prop up, now I see that the white community as well is just as fried.
It does look to me like he made some eye contact with her and then just decided, nah, let me move on. The BET Awards seems like a psyop at this point. It's just Democratic brainwashing. Get in there and fight for all the things. Steve, that's it for you. I'm done.
Bring your own guitar.
Welcome back to BYOG, Jeffrey Steele, Jason Whitlock. Man, I've been waiting for this. These young guys from West Tennessee, they've written and performed this incredible song, In God We Trust. Before we get to them, Jeffrey, I want to walk you through how I met and got introduced to these guys a little bit. I've told you guys, Tim Floyd's here. Tim Floyd, several months ago, invited me to a men's group in Franklin. They invited me to speak. A bunch of Christian guys to get together Friday mornings. I go down as a guest speaker in Franklin, and it's at this little restaurant bar in the morning called Kokomo's. And the owner is a guy named Jason Tucker. He's got a great first name. He's off to a good start. And so, Jason, come on out here. Jason is into the music. He's written some songs. He works with young artists. And so Jason Tucker, pretty good looking guy, kind of looks like Riley Green, country music guy. Anyway, he starts talking to me about these young guys, and he helps young people in the music business. And he says, hey, Whit, if you and Jeffrey do anything, and we all went out to dinner, and he said, I want to help you out. I think I can introduce you to some young artists that would be perfect for your show. And lo and behold, Jason, you introduced us to Tennessee Backwater. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Jason, a strong believer. His restaurant is incredible. Mm-hmm. It's great, high-end, healthy food. Yes, Jason's educating me on all the things that I eat bad and what the substitutes can be. And, we got into some conversation. Was it about the oils, the seed oils?
A Kokomo Trading Company, we do not use any seed oil.
Yeah,
we have a seed oil-free kitchen. Yeah. So that's one of the number one causes of indigestion and health issues.
Jason, just real quick, how'd you meet these guys?
Met these guys through one of my close friends. Bo and Hunter's uncle, Mike, has been one of my friends. Our sons have grown up together, went to school together, played soccer together. Mike shoots me a text, hey, Hunter and Bo have this little band they're doing with their buddy Blake. Would you be willing to write with them? And I said, yeah. Which is normally like, a favor, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, sure, yeah. I don't mind doing one song. Sure, great. They come into Nashville and they walk into the studio, and within 30 minutes, I'm like, okay. I mean, like we're just on to something. And we literally went through, in my opinion, 4 hit songs in about 3 weeks of just writing and just working and just hashing it out. So
did you help them write In God We Trust?
I did, yes, sir.
Oh, awesome.
Yes,
Awesome. Well, get out of here. You're in the way. These guys are big stars. You're nothing. Get out of here. The restaurant tour. Go eat at his restaurant in Franklin. But wow, if you help them write this In God We Trust. Anyway, Bo Elder.
Yes, sir.
Hunter Elder.
That's right.
Blake Daniels. Guys, we'll start with you, Bo. How did you guys all meet? What's the connection? I know you guys are brothers. You got no choice.
Got no choice.
Me and Blake, I guess it started a long time ago.
I remember I was going to get a boat to go fish bass tournaments, and Bo sent me a text and asked if I wanted a buddy to come fishing with me during the tournaments.
Yeah. And I texted him. I was like, hey, I heard you needed a fishing buddy. I was like, I could probably help you out a little bit there. I fished a little bit, and we went hunting together. And ever since then, we just been great friends. I mean,
yeah, it's been an everyday deal.
So Hunter, I think you and Bo started out singing in the church. Is that right?
Oh, yes, sir.
Walk
All
us
my
through
life.
that.
I started playing violin when I was about 5. And they would always try to get me into the church and play songs for them on like Christmas and stuff like that. And then about, 8 years later, you started playing guitar?
Yeah.
Yeah, about 8 years later. And then they asked both of us to come and sing and playing the guitar. And we've played it a couple just ever since then. Yeah.
All right, so we got to go a little American Idol here. Hunter's probably got the look. He looks like John Rich.
Yeah,
Got the cowboy hat on.
John Michael Montgomery from back in the 90s,
Yeah.
too. It reminds me a little bit of.
What do you? Do we need to help the other guys out? Perhaps country them up a little bit more. What?
See, now that's the whole thing. Like, if the music's there, I think you don't need to worry about that stuff. But when you're talking about an industry, they always want to shape everybody. Like I said, put the hats on them or take the hats off of them, put the right clothes on them. I say if you guys are following your music, that will kind of dictate what you wear and what you do.
We thrive to be who we are and not change for nobody.
We're the experts here. I got a vision for Blake.
Yeah.
Blake. I got a vision. I'm gonna start taking him to halls and let him eat with you. We're gonna put some weight on him, put some tattoos on him.
Oh, here we go.
Jelly Roll 2.0.
Blake, what do you think?
Y'all are the professionals.
Who am I to question?
Who am I to question the greats? I don't know.
On a serious note, in God we trust, man. This is a bold song. Whose idea? Where's it coming from?
So I think where it started is, we've been writing songs, like Jason said. We've been writing, and I told Hunter, I was like, look, dude, all this is going on in the world right now. We got to write a song that just shows our beliefs and what we think is right.
Did I not just say, see,
Yeah.
I like this kid. Yeah. Keep going.
And it's probably 2 weeks later, he came to me with just a rough draft of this song, and I was like, dude, that's it. So we went in, sat down with Jason and Cash, one of our producers, and we kind of took the song apart and rewrote it, put it back together, and it just
spoke.
It spoke.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It did.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Let's speak it into existence right now. How about that?
Yes,
Let's
sir.
hear it, guys. Tennessee Backwater, In God We Trust.
Another day, another dollar. Just the life of a man in squalor. Just trying to make it through to another day. And at night I say my prayers and ask God to let an air and shine His light so I can find my way. I go to work every single day, sweat and blood for some shallow pay. I'll probably be working till I'm in the grave. So where did this world go wrong? We may never know until we're too far gone. It's a shame how much has changed. The home of the brave is losing faith. But for me and all the ones I love, we won't be giving up. 'Cause still in God we trust.
I pay my taxes and I pay my dues, but they went and changed the rules. Politicians trying to play us out for fools.
Speak up and then they shut you down. Fight hard, they'll try and take you out. Land of the free ain't as good as they make it sound. We get a sticker when we go to vote, but never counts when we need it most. They'll always find a way to get just what they want. So where did this world go wrong? We may never know until we're too far gone. It's a shame how much has changed. The home of the brave is losing faith. But for me and all the ones I love, we won't be giving up. 'Cause still in God we trust. Still in God we trust. Another day, another dollar. Just a life of a man in squalor. Just trying to make it through to another day.
Man, that was personal. That you could feel that. Obviously, you could see it, feel it coming from your heart. That's where great music comes from.
I just love that they're bringing in some faith to the music too. We have this big gap between secular music and Christian music, as it were, and I think, to me, like one of the keys to this world enlightening a little bit is to be able to say this in the regular world and not be called, crazy for doing it,
What has happened, Jeffrey, we've lived long enough to where the rebels are the Christians.
Yep.
If you want to be rebellious as a young person,
Yes.
Don't tat yourself all up. Don't go off somewhere and get drunk and smoking weed.
Yeah.
Claim Jesus as your Lord and Savior. It's like, oh,
You're a rock star.
that guy's crazy.
Yeah.
It's like, he's wild.
No, him. But it is like we were saying earlier. It's definitely a movement, whether it's a conscious one or not. It's happening. There's a generation of kids that, like you guys, that are just saying what's in your heart and not just, talking about a car and a truck by the lake with a girl and a shot of whiskey. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, no, and it's just so refreshing. I mean, from a guy that's in a room every day with somebody writing a song that wants to sound like somebody that's already on the radio. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's so refreshing to hear you guys doing what you do. And just, if I could say anything, man, just keep chasing it for everything it's worth, because people do want to hear it. They don't want to hear you doing somebody else. They want to hear you guys doing you guys and what you guys believe. And I think that's what translates. We're talking about Oliver Anthony. That's what translated to people. He was being him, speaking his piece.
What a time to be alive.
Yes.
Because we sit around and think like, hey, the world's going crazy, it's terrible. But literally, I'm thinking for these young guys, and because I work with Luke and Jack and these young guys that work with me, that they actually get to be Christian and girls find that attractive. Yeah. that like, oh man, that's a Christian guy.
Yes.
That he's the difference maker. And so, because things have gone so crazy, that now the real value is in the guys that are
It's fantastic.
willing to live out their faith. And so, I know he's, Hunter's repenting, but he's also moving in the right direction. Yeah. He's more popular with the ladies by being a Christian. Man, isn't God good?
So what's going to be happening with you guys? Is there any touring dates or anything that we can be looking forward to? Or the release is, tell me again, the single's Friday?
Yeah, today.
And the video's today, right?
Yeah. The video comes out Friday.
Yep.
The song has been out for.
Well, the song's available now. Okay.
Absolutely.
It's great, you guys. It's really great work.
The video's out today. Yeah.
Right. All right. Well,
They kind of forget.
thank you guys. It was like a 3-hour trip for these guys to come over here. And then I got to thank your family. I don't know if it was your dad or your mom. Someone brought Chick-fil-A, and I was very appreciative of that. That was almost worth the trip. A 3-hour DoorDash for Chick-fil-A. Thank you so much for that. Thank you, guys.
Absolutely. Tennessee Backwater. Fantastic. That was fantastic.
Awesome. I gotta admit, Jeffrey, you weren't half bad either today. I got it. Not as good as these kids, but you weren't half bad.
Just kind of a hobby for me.
Yeah. I don't know if I have anything more to. Do you want to? You don't have to. We can be done. You got another song you want to sing?
What do you want to hear? You want to hear something? Anything you want to hear? It doesn't matter to me. I can do it or not do it.
What, Tiffany, help me out. Butter, anybody?
Am I the only one?
Am I the only one? He wrote it on my birthday.
I'm not. Well,
Do you know that story?
Now tell the story.
So I told you the story, didn't I? It was my day off. I finally got a day off. Been writing songs for 3 weeks straight. Finally got a day off. I was going to go ride my bike. And I got a call from Ira Dean. He says, hey, what are you doing? I said, I'm going to ride my bike. I can't write today. That's the first thing I said. He goes, you got to come with me. I'm writing today. I said, no. I said, who you writing with? He goes, I'm writing with Aaron Lewis. I said, oh, man. I love Aaron. And I said, what time? He said, 12 o'clock. So I got there, started writing the song, and it started going on for a few hours, and it was Tiffany's birthday, and she was getting ready to go out that night. So we were kind of keeping her. Did you make it to dinner? I know we were. Okay. We went way past the allotted time schedule for her to go, so the song got written. Yeah.
Sing us out of here.
Am I the only one here tonight, shaking his head, thinking something ain't right? Is it just me? Am I losing my mind? Am I standing on the edge of the end of time? Am I the only one? Please tell me I'm not. Who thinks they're taking all the good we got and turning it bad? Well, I'll be damned. I think I'm turning into my old man. Am I the only one willing to bleed? Take a bullet for being free. Screaming what the fuck at my TV? Telling me, are you telling me that I'm the only one willing to fight for my love of the red and white and the blue burning on the ground? Another statue coming down in a town near you, watching the threads of old glory come undone. Am I the only one ain't brainwashed, making his way through the land of the lost? Still gives a shit, worries about his kids while they try to undo all the things he did. Am I the only one? Can't take no more screaming. If you don't like it, there's the fucking door. This ain't the freedom we were fighting for. It was something more. It was something more. Am I the only one willing to fight for my love of the red and white and the blue burning on the ground? Another statue coming down in a town near you, watching the threads of old glory come undone. Am I the only one? I can't be the only one. Am I the only one who quits singing along every time they play a Springsteen song? Am I the only one still sitting here, still holding on, holding back my tears for the ones who paid with the lives they gave? God bless the USA. I'm not the only one willing to fight for my love of the red and white and the blue. Burning on the ground, another statue coming down in a town near you. Watching the threads of old glory come undone. I'm not the only one. I can't be the only one. I'm not the only one.
Thank you. Thank you, Jason.
We'll see you guys next time.